All right, guys, welcome back to the show. Today we got a special guest. We have Tim from Shire Distilling, and we're going to talk about basically what they're all about, the stuff that they're doing. We just moved, so we might have to have a two-part here because we're running a little tight on time. So we're trying to make it work for everybody. So that's how it is. So here, without further ado, here's Tim. How's it going, man?
How's it going, Randall? Thank you for having me on, first of all.
No problem. One of the reasons I wanted to bring you on was because I know you guys are fairly new. I'm not going to say fairly new, but fairly new to the Texas whiskey game. And I kind of wanted to get a little bit of your personal background and also your business, your distillery's background. So if you want to start there, that'd be a great, and also plug any of your socials and stuff like that so that people can find you when they want to. Need a drink.
Yeah,
it's fine.
Sounds good.
No,
I just took a sip.
No, it's all good.
Man, we're just loading barrels in the truck, so it was chaotic. I come in here all drenched in sweat. I took a quick bird bath, and now here I am on the camera.
There you go.
But yeah, you can't choose the weather.
No, you
I'm
can't.
Happy we're getting rain down here, man. It's been hot and dry lately, but
yes.
Don't want to get too off topic.
No.
About us, I'm Tim Raines. I'm the VP of operations and one of the co-founders of Shire Distilling. So I handle all the operations side of things. I do the mashing, fermenting, distilling, and try and make sure everything operational wise in regard to bottling, logistics, all that's going smooth. So I'm one of the co-owners. My father, George, he's one of the co-owners as well. And then my mother, Lynn, is also a co-owner. The three of us, we started this distillery out, family owned and operated distillery. So
sweet.
I think about 2017 is when that's when we got our DSP. So that's what we like to consider our established date, but that's definitely not, the day where we started running our equipment and, making the first drop of whatever might have been coming off at that time.
Right.
But yeah, 2017, the established date. What got us into this world, I would say, is beer making.
Okay.
So that was definitely, I guess, what you would call like the gateway drug for us.
Yeah.
My dad, he's been doing beer, wine, mead for many years, upwards of 20 years.
Okay.
Me, I've been in the brew beering industry, on a hobby level. We've always done it hobby level, never commercial. And I've been doing it for about 10 years.
Okay.
And that's definitely what got us into the distilled spirits industry. I came across distilling. A buddy of mine was very into it, and so that went and joined him one day, and that's where things really, I guess, got kicked off. I joined for a distillation session, and I immediately loved it. I mean, I'd already been familiar with a lot of the aspects of that world because beer brewing and distilling, they're very similar.
Yes.
Beer, you're making a beer and then you're distilling it. That's a very simple way of putting it.
Right.
But and a lot of times the prep work is the hardest part, just like when they say painting a car, prep work is very important and you'll have a good paint job. Well, same in the distilling world. You can be the best distiller in the world, but if you don't know how to make a good mash and ferment it out properly, then it don't matter how good you distill. It comes down to what you're actually distilling.
That's correct.
So the prep work, the mashing, the fermentation, a lot of that, getting the proper pH levels and, just making sure you have a good fermented mash. Well, we've been doing that part for quite a while. So it definitely made the learning curve a lot easier for us as well. So, I went, joined a buddy of mine in distillation, found out I really love it, started getting more into it. I come from an automation background.
Okay.
So, that kind of, I guess, really got the worm growing. I started trying to implement my automation knowledge into the distilling side of things. And this was all still with intentions of keeping a very small scale. Like this is in mind, I'm thinking hobby level.
Right.
At the moment, I was still never even thinking commercial. I was thinking like, all right, I already make beer. How about I take it to the next level? I create my own little automated setup and I'll just start cranking out some hooch and see how it goes.
Right.
But while I was looking for the proper equipment to build my little setup, that's when I came across a guy that was selling his entire distillery, a turnkey operation.
Oh, wow.
And this was on Craigslist. I'm looking to do this thing, I'm trying to build something experimental I've never thrown together before. So I'm thinking, let's keep it low cost. Let's keep it simple. And so, I'm searching around on Craigslist. That was before Facebook Marketplace was even all that popular.
Right.
So yeah, I'm on there and I come across a distillery being sold. At the time, I'm no longer in the automation industry. I'm working oil and gas. I do, or I was doing oil and gas for Occidental Petroleum. I was
Okay.
with them for about 5 years. I joined on with them on the drilling side of operations, and then my last year and a half was with the reservoir management team.
Wow.
So I was with the RMT for about a year and a half, and then I quit my good paying stable job, great benefits. I quit that to go full time into the distilling world. And my dad, he was also working an office job. He's always been doing more on the IT side of things. He's been doing IT for over 30 years.
Wow.
So we both come from beer making backgrounds. We're both currently working office jobs. And now we're starting to enter this realm of distillation. There was still never a plan to go commercial at this point. We're thinking,
Right.
all right, hobby level, let's have some fun with it, just like
Yeah.
how we're having fun making beer. And once we came across this guy selling his entire distillery, just for shits and giggles, we decided let's drive out there and let's check it out.
Yeah.
At this point, we had never even been to a distillery, so we
Nice.
drove out there. We checked it out. He showed us the whole operation, the whole process he goes through, and we're like, damn. I mean, this feels like such familiar territory to us already. So we were already feeling at home. A long story short, we ended up never actually buying his equipment or his setup or any of that. The legality side of it, of transferring his distillery to a new location and whatnot, it'd have been a bit of a troublesome for us. So it was almost, we'd have to reapply for all the proper permitting, state and federal and whatnot. And so there was no time savings in terms of permitting. So if we had to do that anyways, we figured, you know what? Why don't we truly just start from the ground up? And that's exactly what we did. So we started doing a lot of research. My dad started handling a lot of the, state, federal, everything to get us as a legal functioning distillery.
Right.
I started focusing on let's find us a location, let's figure out what equipment we need, let's get this thing rolling. And that's kind of what we did. So we got some very basic equipment. We hopped into this new uncharted territory to us at the time, still working our office jobs. That's our full-time gig, and then after that it's let's hop over to the distillery, fire up the still, get things rolling. And so it made for some very long days.
Yeah, I bet.
Then
I bet it did.
yeah. And so yeah, I mean, I started thinking to myself, I was like, man, there's no, if we're gonna kick off, most small businesses fail for early on. Many of them do. And I'm thinking they already got such a high failure rate, and if we're only doing this in the background, we're still working our full-time jobs and then trying to grow this thing in the background. I mean, it's even more likely to fail. We need to be able to put more of our efforts into this. And so that's where I made the decision to quit my full-time office job. And I made the fearful leap into 100% into the distilling industry. And so that was July of 2018.
Oh, wow.
So I don't know, maybe a little over 5 years, I guess, if my math is right.
Right.
A little over 5 years, I've been 100% doing just the distillery now. No more background job or anything like that.
Sweet.
So it was scary. It was exciting at the same time too. But what I keep telling myself, the early days of making that transition, those will be the most difficult days. And as long as I keep making it one day further, it should only get easier and easier. And to an extent, that was true until recently. We just went through this big move, and now I feel like we hit the reset button. All that, whatever 6-7 years of work we put into that building, building out a tasting room, getting it very presentable and operational. I mean, I remember every single project of hooking up glycol lines, building out the tasting room, how long they all took, and then for the move, man, it's crazy how quick you can tear it all down.
Yeah.
I'm there just chopping down all my glycol lines, like, in 30 minutes, just like, I'm just like, man, this is so much like undoing a lot of hard work.
Yeah,
absolutely. The knowledge is still there,
right.
like how it was put up. And that's something very valuable to bring with yourself to a new location.
Right.
So if I did it once, I can do it again.
Yeah, that's true. That's true.
That's part of how I feel about it. I know I'm kind of just ranting on in a straight line.
No,
I don't know if there's any questions or anything you had on
okay, I do have one small question. So when you were doing it, were you doing small test batches before you decided to get the big still and stuff like that? Like, with your buddy or whatever, did you have an idea of kind of what you wanted to do? Was it more, obviously I'll make a bunch of whiskeys and stuff like that, but was it more, we're just trying to make cool stuff, or did you have an actual process in line from the beginning, or was it just kind of, let's see how this thing rolls?
So when we first started, we actually started out wanting to make vodka.
Okay.
Yeah, surprisingly, yeah. And we very quickly learned, we were like, man, I didn't feel like there was much craft or uniqueness to vodka,
Right.
To me, for the most part, a lot of vodkas feel they're very, very similar.
Yeah.
And so that's when, early on vodka was in our sights, and then we very quickly changed direction where we started gearing ourselves towards whiskeys, more specifically bourbons.
Right.
So right now, majority of everything we got in barrels I'd say 90+% of it is all bourbons.
Okay.
We do got some corn whiskey sitting in second use barrels.
Okay.
Aside from the corn whiskeys, we probably got, I think, about 9 barrels of corn whiskey. None of those have ever even been released yet. But aside from that, it's all bourbons. And yeah, so bourbon was the big focus. Now, as time goes on, I'm definitely wanting to start. I want to build a stable foundation first. Now I do. Well, once we get our equipment set back up again. Right now, man, when we jumped into this building, right now it's pretty sad, man. All our tanks and everything, they're just sitting on the back patio. They're not even in the building, because right now it's just like, y'all are gonna get in the way. We get our bottling line operational. We want to get, we kind of hit the ground running over here. And so we're trying to keep as much stuff out of the way that we know we're not going to be using this very moment.
Right.
But hopefully we'll get the tank set up sooner than later. We don't even have an operating tasting room just yet.
Yeah.
So stage 1 was, let's get bottling operations kicked off and going ASAP. Stage 2, that's getting the tasting room up and going. We're hoping that'll be sooner than later. We were targeting November 1st, but that's going to be completely off. That ain't happening.
It's rapidly approaching, of course.
Yeah, no way in hell November 1st is happening.
Yeah, exactly.
But, so I don't even want to give a date anymore, because it'll probably just be wrong again. But stage 2 would be the tasting room, where we can have folks start visiting us, trying products and buying bottles and all that good stuff, see where our new location is. And then stage 3 would be the actual setup of the equipment: mash tun, fermenter, the still, the glycol chiller, the boiler, all that good stuff. And yeah, I feel like I'm kind of just all over the place, getting out of order here. I know you had asked.
It's fine. It's fine.
What our initial plans were. So our initial plan was vodka, then it quickly switched to wanting to do whiskeys. We just started dabbling in the world of doing bourbons. And a lot of it was just kind of experimental, learn as we go. We also did go to some big distilleries and do training with them. So we started out as Shire Distilling. We started on a 50-gallon, like a little copper pot still, basically. And it's a pot still with a thumper and then the condenser. Very basic little copper setup. And that's what we started out, and right out the gate, man, we were running all our operations on it. And then we started realizing we need something bigger. And so as we were doing our digging for larger equipment, that's where we also started visiting a lot of distilleries to see what what equipment they have, how they're running it, how their operation is going. And we'd tell them, we'd be 100% transparent with them. We started up a little distillery in Texas. We're tiny, 50-gallon still. We're looking to grow. We want to just come check the place out. Can we, send some of these distilleries, one specifically up in Virginia. They were awesome. They let us spend a week or two with them. We got to wake up, go in with the distiller in the morning, and straight up just run operations, but on a much larger scale. And so tons of knowledge from that experience there. They were running multiple stills at the same time, all different sizes. I think there was like a 2,000 gallon, a 1,000, a 500, and then a 300. And they'd fire all 4 stills up and run them all simultaneously. So we got to learn via that, which was pretty neat, and it really helped build a more structured plan and direction in our brains. like, okay, so what do we think our output will be? What do we think it'll be in X amount of years? What size still do we want? That's where we zeroed in on going with a 600-gallon still.
Oh wow.
And
Okay.
so we've been operating on a 600-gallon for the past several years now.
Wow.
So we got one 600-gallon for mash tun. And then we go down the line, we got two 600-gallon fermenters, and then we got the 600-gallon still. So kind of the way we do things, our operations in cycles, where we'll make a mash, we'll pump it over the fermenter. Next day we make a mash, put it in the second fermenter. And then the third day we'll actually make a mash and we'll ferment inside the mash tun.
Oh wow.
So
Okay.
we got cooling and heating routed to the jacket of our mash tun.
Okay.
So the mash tun does cooling and heating. The fermenters only do cooling, and then the still only does heating. So we'll have three 600-gallon fermentations all going on at the same time. And then, of course, the first one will finish first. We pump it over to the still and we strip it. Second one finishes the next day, we strip it, and so forth. So we strip all three of them. And that gives us enough low wines where we can charge our still, our 600-gallon still, and have a nice, healthy spirit run.
Sweet.
So that's kind of how our equipment is set up now. In the future, we'd like to get another still, a bigger one that we would only use for stripping. We'd also like to get more fermentation vessels so we can actually have more fermentations going on at the same time, and so forth. A bigger mash tun would be nice. Man, more room and bigger equipment, you know.
Yeah,
It's the same thing damn near anyone wants.
Yeah, absolutely.
Preaching to the choir here.
Yeah, exactly. And it's kind of funny you say that. I just today went to Andalusia Whiskey, and I hadn't seen their new setup. They got a new stripping still and a bunch of new fermenters and stuff like that. So like they're running nonstop. You know, they're just running as soon as they can mash in, they're pumping it, and then they do the same thing. They have like 3 or 4, I don't know, it might be 1,500-gallon fermenters, and they're pumping them to the stripping still, but they still have that 250, I think it's 250-gallon finishing still, and they just pump it into there, and it makes enough for 1 barrel. Well, yeah, you know, it's like you're saying, you're just kind of just it's like Legos. You're just adding onto it until you get to where you're like, okay, I think this is good for a little bit. Then you like recruit some more money and do some more. It's crazy.
Yeah,
it's
how
really,
it is, man. Yeah, you just keep adding on. You keep trying to optimize the operation as well. That's what I come from, the automation background. I'm trying to make everything optimized and running as efficiently as possible, because at the end of the day, it'll save time and it'll save cost. As long as we can do it where we're not sacrificing quality, that's the goal there. So if there's something that normally would take us 5 days, 6 days to accomplish, now we can start knocking out in maybe 3 or 4. I mean, that adds up over time.
So quick question. I know we don't have a whole lot of time, but like on your fermentations, about how long are they lasting normally on a normal
fermentation? We're sitting in there for upwards of 7 days.
Okay.
So that now it definitely isn't taking the full 7 days for the most part. What we're doing is we notice in 4 to 5 days fermentation finishes, and then we'll let it sit for a few extra days, trying to let it sour a little bit, not too much, and then from there, boom, we're hopping over to the still.
Okay. And you say you're mainly on your whiskey side, you're mainly doing bourbon, is that correct?
Yeah, majority of everything is bourbon, but they're not all the same mash bills. Let me put it that way. I mean, so we actually, let's see, we do got some, I did forget about the rye whiskeys also. We do got some very high content rye whiskeys. They're roughly 82% rye. Okay. And so those obviously are not bourbons, but those and the corn whiskeys I think are the only non-bourbons we have. But we got some, we've experimented around with a lot of different mash bills. Right now they're in the aging stages right now. We got some 4 grain aging out. We got some different corn, rye, barley mash bills that are aging out. We got different. We do got some higher rye content that are still bourbons, and then of course we got the very high rye content rye whiskeys. We got the corn. We got a wheated bourbon that's aging. So we got some stuff in the works, man. I can't spill all the surprises.
Oh no. We'll save that for the next one.
We do some fun stuff. We always trying to experiment around with finishes as well. So like one that was a big hit was our Percheron. Absolutely. Percheron is a toasted French oak finish. And so that's something we've been doing for several years, and that's remained one of our top sellers as well.
Yes. Yeah, and especially for me, especially that cast strength one. Oh man, that one blew my socks off because, and of course, I was only able to try a sample at like the Whiskey Fest or whatever. So it's one of those things because I've been looking for your guys' bottles on the shelf, and of course can't find it. I might have seen one in passing, maybe at a Total Wine, but I'm not certain. And of course, I'm not too far away from you, probably about 5 hours or so. But yeah, I don't think it even makes it up this high. I guess it gets bought out before it gets to where I'm at. But
well, that Percheron cast strength, that one never goes on shelves. That's only
that's a
distillery release only. And
well, that's probably why.
On average, we've only done 2 releases of it, and we do a barrel per year, basically.
Right.
Release of that. That might scale up in the near future, but for now, we've been keeping it at just 1 barrel per year. And yeah, so that's always been more of a limited distillery release only.
Right.
But yeah.
Awesome. No, and like I said, I won't keep you, and we will definitely have to do part 2 to where we can get more into the process and the future of. I mean, now that y'all are working on expansion, I'd like to see, even if you want to walk around and show us your still and stuff like that. That would be a cool little side, and maybe, depending, my viewers know that I'm going through some health stuff right now, so hopefully in the very near future I can get over there and maybe we can do a live and kind of do a walkthrough on everything. But that's Lord willing, of course, and all this. But yeah, go ahead and give us any socials that you want to promote. And I know you don't have a tasting room, but if you want to, get people over to when it's open, get people over there. Obviously your website and stuff like that. Go ahead and give us all that.
Yeah, we just got shiredistilling.com. That's our website. Shire Distilling we're on social media like Facebook and Instagram as well. Okay. I think I don't go on social media much. I think it's just Shire Distilling Co.
I think it is. I think it is.
But yeah, you search it up and you'll see the horse logo. You'll see that horse. And if you see that horse, it's us. But yeah, you can find us on our website and social media. And then yeah, definitely once we get things a little more set up here, you're more than welcome to come out. Right now, it's not much to see. I mean, like I said, a lot of our tanks are on the back patio.
Yeah.
Our still is not even together. I mean, the column is taken down and separated. The helmet and the copper helmet that goes on top of the still is pulled off as well. So a lot of our stuff is just dismantled and sitting in the corner, unfortunately. Yeah. But right now the next stage we want to get the tasting room operational. Now that the bottling line is going, now we want the tasting room going, because we would love for folks to at least start coming out and visiting us and be able to get their hands on our products. We do got products also that we'll do as specialty distillery only releases. Right now we can't do those. So we've been holding on to a Tejas collaboration with Jake.
Yep.
We got it bottled up. It's an awesome product. I think we brought a little sample of it to the Bastards Ball this year.
I wasn't able to make it to the Bastards Ball, but anything that Jake is attached to, it's going to be some good stuff. So. But yeah,
it's a fun product, and it's some of our rye whiskey, and we haven't even released a rye whiskey yet. But that's what awesome. Part of this is. It's a rye finished in a Jamaican style French oak rum cask. So pretty wild and fun. But man, we're so eager to get that released and get some other releases going. So hopefully sooner than later. In our minds, we're thinking a move will be quick, but man,
it never is. It never is. It never is. All right. Well, I won't keep you any longer. And to all my listeners, thank you for sticking in, and stay tuned for the part 2 on this one. We're going to have one. It might be a little while so they can get all their setup going, but we will definitely have Tim back on, and we can kind of go through some more stuff, because I want to hear some more about these products and what they're doing with stuff. So y'all be good, and as always, keep your spirits up.